Remarkable seasons for both Baker Mayfield and Dede Westbrook, who now become the first quarterback-receiver tandem to be named Heisman finalists. Mayfield placing fourth in the voting last year, didn't get to New York, but Westbrook has had a breakout season, and it's like they're related, those two things. Mayfield, sensational. Westbrook made him better. Maybe they needed all of it to come together a little sooner for the Sooners.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because when you look at Westbrook, had that hamstring early in the season, only catches 17 passes in the first 3 games. Then he just goes nuts. Then he just goes crazy. The month of October, 40 receptions, catching touchdowns left and right. And his ability to catch those 50-50 balls 100% of the time is really remarkable. I mean, he's got some Randy Moss-esque in him, just as far as the way he's gliding and the way he tracks the football, catches it on the run, and look how he just easily splits those. Oh, those are Texas defenders. Oh, okay, everybody did that to them.
Shut up,
I just say it like that's the tape they use,
He had
Randy.
40 catches against Texas.
Oh, BJ.
Yeah.
Both of them. Wow, that is just rough, man. You lucky Colorado's back this year. Listen, I was screaming, please, somebody cover this guy. After the Ohio State drubbing they took 45-24, he really took off, and no one could stop him. No one could cover him. Just go to this last ball game versus Oklahoma State. He gets knocked out of that ball game early in the first half. But after that, I mean, prior to that, he already was over 100. Already had just burned that Oklahoma State secondary, had a long touchdown reception, and the guy is just a phenomenal athlete. Right, that freakish speed, and it just seems like it sneaks up on you, and you think you're right there, and you got him, and he puts it in another gear.
Well, the funny thing about him isn't so much that 19.8 yards per catch, which let that settle in a little bit. 19 point, I mean, he gets 2 first downs every time he touches the ball. It's the fact that he has such amazing stop-and-go ability, and he can do it basically on a cut, not only in a route, but with the ball. And he credits, and listen to this, it's rock fights with his cousin. His grandma lived out in the country, and they grew up with his grandma. And they used to go out in the front yard, and he says that's the only thing we had to do was basically play with each other, and we'd have rock fights. And he goes, you learn to be pretty quick when somebody's throwing rocks at you.
Or pretty sore.
Wow. In New Jersey, we cry if there's a little ice in the snowball.
Oh, wow. You need to come down to Texas, man. We'll toughen you up a little bit.
You know what?
And how about Baker, though, finding a security blanket in this guy after losing one of his favorite targets in Sterling Shepard? That's amazing. And, of course, he didn't emerge till after that third ball game.
Right. And Baker Mayfield, who was such a gamer last year, like the one against Tennessee, leading them back. So fourth last year. We'll see where he ends up this year. But led the nation in completion percentage, led the nation in quarterback rating as well. And it helps that the Sooners closed the season on a 9-game winning streak.
And just like Deshaun Watson, a guy who didn't run as much as he did the season prior, but still just to tick off as far as the touchdowns he accumulated on the ground and through the air. He was masterful, 70% passer once again. And he's got so many, as Randy would like to say, toys. We just mentioned Westbrook, who emerged. But then you've got the running game, Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon, who's excellent at running the rock, but also a great value out of the backfield as a receiver as well. So Mayfield is a guy who can buy that time, give defenses fits, because you know he's going to scramble around, and eventually he's going to find someone that's open.
Yeah, you talk about those toys, but Mayfield still, despite having that great running game with Perine and Mixon, the last 6 games of the year, which is really where he broke out completely. He had 22 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in those last 6 games, and that's where he got to New York. That's where he grabbed everybody's attention. And it was interesting in a game where Westbrook would still get over 100 yards on 6 catches in Bedlam, and Perine goes for what, 230-something yards?
Yeah.
So many numbers.
You know, Mayfield still is basically the guy, when you get done watching that tape, you go, man, that's a heck of a quarterback.
Yeah. And he's coming back next year.
Yes.
And you just wonder what the situation would be like now if they were able to maybe just beat Houston. Maybe not, and maybe just have their only loss be Ohio State, and then your resume looks a little bit better. And maybe, I don't know, who knows? Maybe they're not splitting the votes as much. Maybe Mayfield plays up a little bit higher.
Pretty crazy. In fact, I mean, look, if you say, well, they lost to Ohio State, if they had won the game against Houston, then they're a one-loss conference champion, but they had lost to Ohio State, it's a separate conversation. But Washington's non-conference schedule was awful in comparison to what Oklahoma put themselves through. If they had just done one of those 2 games, you'd have a point. I know we're going to have our own ballots later. Who do you think finishes higher? Because Baker Mayfield and Dede Westbrook, they're going to draw first place, second place votes from each other, maybe second place and third place votes. Who do you think finishes higher?
Quarterback. It's a quarterback award. It's a quarterback or a running back award. So, of course, Baker Mayfield was going to finish higher. He has to get the rock to the wide receiver before the wide receiver can work his.
Sorry, I asked.
No,
No. You can ask.
He's absolutely right.
Just be prepared to be sent back to your chair.
But who should it be? What might be another question, but it's going to be the quarterback. I mean, plus the fact you mentioned he's going to be back, that'll work in his favor when it comes to people voting for him.
In this situation, I would actually give Westbrook a little bit of an edge. Not a lot, just a little bit, just based on 17 total touchdowns, 16 to 48 yards or more. The deep ball, he was killing people with the deep ball, and I would say it's easy for him to chuck the football down the field, and it's a little bit harder for Westbrook to adjust to it because, they are the best.
You weren't a receiver by any chance, were you?
I see what he did.
Talk about who needs who more. If you're Dede Westbrook, you can get any. You can throw the football up there and throw it up there. Just throw it up. I'll make you look good. That's the job of a wide receiver. Make the quarterback
accuracy.
look good.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, when he emerged, they won more, didn't lose.